Today we are here with our another session of online classes for class 5th computer science. Okay, till now we have completed the first three chapters, chapter 1, 2 and 3, and as per as your given syllabus, now we will start the once again I will revise the chapters which you have already studied. Okay, so we will start with chapter 1, and in chapter 1 the name of the chapter was evaluation of computer. Till now you have in earlier classes like class 3rd and 4th you have studied about what is computer science, what is computer, what are the things which computer can perform, and then you have studied about different parts of the computers, how the data is been taken input, which are the devices involved in it, then how the processing is been done, and how to get the output. Now here we will study about evaluation of computer, how that computer comes into the existence. Okay, how was the computer come into the existence, and some of the important devices which were used before the existence of computer, how these devices were used to perform some of the calculation tasks and the mathematical problems to be solved. So in order to this, let's start with some of the earlier devices which were used for mathematical purpose. So the first one is abacus. The first device was abacus. Abacus was the first calculating device, and it was invented by the Chinese about 5,000 years ago. It is a rectangular frame which contains a vertical rods with which have a number of wooden bits are there. It is a rectangular frame with a number of rods, and each rod contains different number of wooden bits, and by using these bits, by sliding them up and down, you can perform the simple calculations like addition, subtraction, multiplication and the divisions. Okay, so the abacus was only used for the simple calculations like simple addition, multiplication, subtraction and the division. Okay, after that, after the abacus, there was a Napier bone. The another device for the calculation purpose was used was the Napier bone, and it was invented by the John Napier in year 1617. In year 1617, and it is generally mainly used for the purpose of multiplication and the division. It was used for the purpose of multiplication and the division. It does not help in addition and the subtraction purpose. After the Napier bones, there was a Pascaline. There was another device that is called Pascaline, and it was invented by Blaise Pascal, a French mathematician, and it was in year 1642, and the Pascaline machine was used for the addition and the subtraction. The Pascaline is only used for the addition and the subtraction. It is not used for the multiplication and the division functions. The Pascaline was made up of rectangular box with 8 movable wheels, and each wheel contains the different numbers are there, and by rotating them you can perform the operations like addition and the subtraction. And it is also known as Pascal's adding machine. It is also known as Pascal adding machine. Then there was another machine or the device, that is Leibniz calculator. Leibniz calculator invented by Leibniz, and it is named, so on his name it was named as Leibniz calculator. It is made of steel and copper, and it is an improved version of Pascal's adding machine. It was improved version of Pascal's adding machine, but the difference was that in Pascal adding machine we can only perform the calculations like addition and the subtraction, whereas in Leibniz calculator it was generally designed mainly designed for the multiplication and the division purpose. It was mainly designed for the multiplication and the division purpose. After that, there was another device, Jacquard's loom. Jacquard's loom was invented by Jos Mary Jacquard in 1801. In 1801, and it was the first machine to use a punch card to control the sequence of operation. It was the first machine to use the punch card. And the punch card, so now after this machine, there are many other devices where the punch card was commonly used. The punch card was commonly used. So to understand that, first of all, you need to understand what is the punch card. A punch card is a piece of paper. It is a piece of paper containing several number of holes. A punch card is generally a piece of paper which contains several number of holes to represent data for doing the calculation. And these holes on punch card is used to represent the data on which the calculation has to be performed, and these holes were punched by either help of hand or a machine. These holes were punched on the paper by either a machine or by hand itself, and these holes were only used to represent the data on the punch card. Clear? So the Jacquard loom was the first machine to use the punch card to represent the data on and to control the sequence of operations. In this sequence, the operation has to be performed. Okay. After that, there comes the existence of difference machine engine. Difference engine was there. The difference engine was developed by Charles Babbage in year 1823. The difference engine was developed by Charles Babbage in year 1823, and the machine was capable of solving the complex functions and calculations of mathematics. The difference engine was the first machine which is capable or has the capability of solving the complex mathematical functions and calculations of mathematics, and the improved version of, and thereafter the Charles Babbage done some more improvements on this machine, and the improved version of this machine was analytical engine. The improved version of difference engine was analytical engine, which is also developed by the Charles Babbage itself, and the analytical engine was developed in year 1834. In 1834, the analytical engine was a general purpose, fully programmed, controlled and digital computer. So the analytical engine was the first fully programmed, controlled and digital computer, and it was capable of performing all the basic arithmetic operations and comparisons, and it had also capability to change the value stored in its memory. Okay, so the analytical engine, which is the advanced version of the difference engine, was developed in year 1834, and it was the first machine which is fully programmed, controlled and digital computer, and it is also capable of performing all the basic arithmetic operations and comparisons, and it also has capability to change the values stored in the memory. Whatever value which is stored earlier can be edited and changed in the analytical engine. After that, there was a tabulating machine. The tabulating machine was the first electronic machine, and it was developed by Dr. Hermann Coleridge in 1890, and it was capable of reading the data, processing it and giving the output. It was moreover similar to the analytical engine, which was also based on the concept of input, output, process and the output. In same way, the tabulating machine was also capable of reading the inputs or reading the data, then processing it and then giving the output. The punch cards were used for giving the input and record and store the information. After that, there was Mark 1. Another device or the machine was the Mark 1 designed by Howard H. Aiken in 1944, and it was the fully automatic digital computer. The first fully automatic digital computer, and it was also known as automatic sequence controlled calculator. Then there comes the existence of ENIAC, that is electronic numeric integrator and the calculator. Then EDSAC, electronic delay storage automatic calculator, and INVAC 1, the universal automatic computer, which was capable of reading the text and the numeric data as well as. Okay, so these were the some of the machines which were earlier used for the calculating, from the simple calculations to the complex calculations, then processing it and then give the outputs and store the values to the memory in the form of storage devices or on the form of punch cards. Then there comes the existence of the computer systems, and these computer systems, now generally the computers which we are using can be classified into different categories. The computers can be classified into different categories based on different things. Computers can be divided into different categories based on different things. Like first of all, technology. If you talk about the technology, then there are 5 different generations of the computers are there. There are 5 different generations of computer depending on the technology used within the system or the computer machine. Then the computers can be also classified on the basis of the speed of the calculations, their size and their capacity of or their capability of doing the calculations, and then it is divided into 4 different categories. So first of all, we will see the classifications of computer into different generations based on different technology. So the first generation computer from year 1949 to 1956, and the major thing was that in this computers, the main technology which was used was in the form of vacuum tubes. The technology which was used in the first generation computers were vacuum tubes. So the first generation computers were based on the use of vacuum tubes, and they were very expensive and big in size. They were bigger in size and very expensive, and the processing speed was also very slow. The example of first generation computers were UNIVAC and ENIAC. ENIAC was the first computer developed by using the vacuum tube technology. So the first generation was slower and big in size. The first generation computers which came in existence, the duration of the use of this generation computers were from 1949 to 1956, and the major thing is that it was very expensive So these are some of the characteristics of first generation computers. The technology which was used in the first generation computers is vacuum tubes. They were very expensive and big in size and very slow in the purpose of calculations. Then there comes the existence of second generation computers, which uses the technology of transistors, and they replace the vacuum tubes totally, and that is called a second generation computers. And it was from year 1956 to year 1963. 56 to 1963, and they use the technology of transistors. So when we compare the second generation computers to the first generation computer, it was smaller in size. They were smaller in size, faster than first generation computers, and cheap. The second generation computers uses the technology of transistors, and they were smaller in size in comparison to the first generation computer. Faster, the calculation speed was faster than first generation computers, and it was cheaper. So the examples of second generation computer was IBM 1401, etc. And the second generation computer moved from machine language to the assembly language. In the first generation computers, they were using the machine language, that is in the form of 0 and 1. But from the second generation, they use the language from machine language to assembly language. Okay, so these were the characteristics of the features of second generation computers. Then there comes the existence of third generation computers from year 1964 to 1971. Then comes the existence of third generation computer from year 1964 to 1971. 1971, and the technology which replaced the transistors were integrated circuit. Or in short you can say IC. The integrated circuits replaced the transistors which were used in the second generation computers, and then its size, as the ICs were small chips, so its size reduced, so it is more smaller. Its size was smaller in comparison to the first generation and the second generation computer. It was bit faster than increased was the speed was increased, and the computer become more efficient. And then the most important thing, the keyboards and the monitors were used. Keyboards and monitors used for input and output. Keyboards and monitors are used for the inputs and outputs. And examples are IBM 360 and Apple IIc, were the examples of third generation computer. Then there is the next one was the fourth generation computer, that is from 1971 to present time. From 1971 to the present time. Present. Okay. The fourth generation. And in this, the technology was based on LSI, that is large scale integration. Large scale integration, and the technology, the component which replaced everything was microprocessor. Component used here which replaced IC was the microprocessor. The microprocessors are integrated circuit. The microprocessors are ICs, the integrated circuits that contain thousands and millions of transistors in it. The microprocessors are the chips or the circuits which contains thousands or millions of transistors, and they are capable of controlling everything, like from in order to getting the inputs or how to process the output, how to process it controls the input and output, and CPU also, the central processing unit. Along with that, the fourth generation computers were very small in size, they were very handy, they can be moved from one location to another location easily. And then come into the existence was the fifth generation computer. The fifth generations are only the mind of advanced research scientists and being rested out in the laboratories. The fifth generation. The fifth generation computers for the future. These are basically called the future of the computer science, where the fifth generation computers are the minds of advanced research scientists. The research was performed within the laboratories and they are tested within the laboratories. And the main technology used here is artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence. The artificial intelligence is used, and for example, you can see the smart devices or the robotics. In the field of robotics, the artificial intelligence is used, where you can develop the intelligence within the machine. The machine, till now, before the fifth generation computers, the machine was not capable of thinking by its own self. It only performed the task, variety of tasks depending on the instructions given to the system. But the future, which is the future of the system, is the fifth generation computer, where the machines will be able to think of themselves and take a decision, and they will then perform the task. The example is in the field of robotics or the robots which were developed. In same order, the Nexi. The Nexi is the next generation robot which was able to show some human facial expressions. That till now we know that the machine does not have any feeling or any human feelings in it or behavior in it. But the Nexi is one of the future robot which is able to show the human expression, the facial expressions like expression of laughing, sadness, thinking. So some of the different facial expressions are shown by the robot. So this is the field of artificial intelligence and the fifth generation computers, the upcoming generation. Okay. Now we will discuss the classifications of computers on the basis of their size, memory storage and the speed of the calculation. Till now we have discussed the 5 generations of computer on the basis of technologies used in them. Okay, how the computer come into existence and then what are the different technologies of the computer systems. Now we will discuss on the basis of speed of the calculations, size of the computers and its memory storage. So when you classify the computers into on basis of their speed, size and the memory, then computer can be classified into 4 different categories. First one is supercomputer, mainframe, mini computer, and microcomputer. So the computer can be classified into these 4 categories on based on their size, speed of the calculations and their memory. So the first one, the supercomputers. The supercomputers are one of the most powerful computers in the world. The most powerful computers in the world, and they have a very large storage capacity and high processing speed. And as they were only built for the complex calculation purpose, they are only built for the complex calculation purpose, and their size is very big and they are very expensive. As they are very expensive, so they are only used for some of the scientific research works where the complex calculations are to be done or performed, or in the field of rocket launching of the rockets, weather forecasting. So only few of the organizations are there which uses the supercomputers where the complex scientific calculation is required. Okay. Then the another one was the mainframe computer, which is in comparison to supercomputer, it is little bit cheaper than it and small in size and less powerful than the supercomputer, and they are used in the big organizations like banks, large industrial undertakings for the purpose like where they have to handle the large amount of database, where the works are to handle a large amount of data or to handle a large database. The mainframe systems are used in the like in the banking sectors or the industries. Okay, but remember that it is bit cheaper than supercomputer, slower than supercomputer. Okay, then comes the mini computer. Mini computers are general purpose computer where the large number of people can work together. In the mini computers, it supports multi-user and multi-program, multitasking computers are there, and it is general purpose computer where the many peoples or the large number of peoples can work together, and they are used at the schools, offices. Then at the last, the microcomputers. Microcomputers are the least expensive computers, and it is smaller in size in comparison to the mini computer also, and it is usually used as a personal computer. It can be used at a home, offices, shops, schools, and microcomputers are also known as PC, that is personal computers. digital computers or the desktops. Then again the microcomputers, if you classify microcomputers, it can be classified into 4 different categories. It can be categorized into 4 different categories. First one is PC, that is your personal computer. Then come into the existence that are the laptops, your laptops which is attached with a battery and it can function on the batteries, and it is very easy to fold it in the form of briefcase and you can carry it easily from one place to another. Then it comes the handheld devices. The handheld devices, they are small enough to be carried within your pocket, like your smartphones or PDAs. So these are the handheld devices. Then come into the existence of wearable devices, the microcomputers, the wearable devices, which can be weared on your body part, like your smartwatch. You can take the example of a smartwatch or smart goggles. So these are the categorization of the computers. Now some of the characteristics of the computer. We have to discuss some of the important characteristics of the computer. Computer help us in the various ways in running society. The computers are powerful tools using which a lot great works can be done. The reason why computer is such a machine will be clear from the discussion of computer as a machine. Okay, the first characteristics of computer that it runs on the electricity. The computer is electronic device and it runs on the electricity. Without presence of electricity, computer would need stored electricity, that is in the form of UPS. You can give a battery backup to it and it can function on it. Okay, then the quality of diligence. The quality of diligence means computer keeps working for the long duration of time. It does not need a rest as we human being need. Okay, if you ask you to continuously study for more than 10 hours, or you have been asked to perform some work for more than 2 to 3 hours, then you need a little bit break time in between that to relax your body and to relax your mind. But the computer does not need it. It can work for a long duration of time without any break or without any rest. So this is called quality of diligence. Then speed of work. The computer is a very fast machine and do the billions of simple operations in just a second, whereas the human can only dream to be as fast as computer. We can, with the time or within the second, the computer can perform the 1000 number of calculations within the seconds, whereas we will only dream about that we can work as faster as, or we can calculate as faster as the machine. Then versatile. The computer is capable of performing variety of tasks. It is capable of performing the variety of tasks, like it can be used in the offices. Different works can be done through the offices. Then schools, on the railway stations, airports, space research works, weather research and computing works. Then the storage of data. The computer can store the huge number of data with it. You can imagine or take example of a small pen drive. You have seen, I hope that you all are very much familiar or friendly with the pen drives. You can see that a particular small pen drive can store a large number of movies in it, which has the minimum duration of 3 hours. So in same way, the hard disk, which is capable of storing 1 terabyte of data within it, so the storage of data is used within the computer. Then lastly, it is the accuracy of the computer. The work performed by the computers is more accurate. The calculations performed by the computers are more accurate in comparison to the human. We humans have a nature of performing the mistakes, as if we do the calculations for long duration, or we perform any work for long duration of time, then automatically we get disturbed and there will be some mistake in it. Okay, but the computer, as we discussed it, that there is diligence in it. It can work for a long duration of time without taking any break. In same way, the accuracy level of the machine is much more higher in comparison to the human. So these were some of the characteristics of the computers. Then along with the characteristic and so versatile, there are some limitations of the computers also. Computer has all the qualities which already we have discussed, but again we should remember that it is a man-made machine. It is a man-made machine and it has its own limitations. And the limitation is that as we discussed the different generations of computer, till the 4th generation computers, the computer cannot think for itself. If the computer is not programmed to do something, if you are not given the instructions that how to perform that particular set of tasks, like suppose if you ask a system to add two numbers, if you ask it to add the two numbers and you are not given the instructions to the system that how the numbers will be added, then it can't do the simple calculation like addition also. So for each and every task, till the 4th generation computers which are being used nowadays also, has to be programmed for each and every task. We have to give the set of instructions to it to perform each task. So its own limitation is that the computer, as it is a machine, it cannot think for itself. Okay. Then second limitation, that does not have feelings. It does not have feeling. The computer cannot feel. A human feels the pain when it gets hurt, but the computer cannot feel such things. Computer does not have, the machine does not have the emotions. But these limitations will be removed when we will talk about the 5th generation computers, which is the future of the computers, where the machines, or you can say the robots, which are also the man-made machines, will be capable of thinking by itself and showing the emotions and feelings. So these are the two different limitations for the machines. And this is how we come to the end of chapter 1 revision. In next class we will continue with our next chapter. Till that time, have a nice day and thank you.